Sorry.
Let me get my coffee chili. Okay. Mr. Van Vuuren.
Yes.
It's a very Afrikaans name, man. Van Vuuren.
You know it's Jansen van Vuuren.
Listen. Do you know a Juan Jansen van Vuuren?
Juan.
Juan with a J.
No.
I was a friend of mine from high school. Also
Juan
Eastern
Jansen
Cape.
van Vuuren.
Also Eastern Cape.
Also Eastern
This
Cape.
must be your family.
Must be.
He was very athletic.
Like me. What do I do with this thing?
Just pull it closer to you.
Like that. Oh,
That's
wow.
it. Perfect.
Look at that.
That's perfect. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we have my friend, actually, one of the nicest people in comedy. And I say that all the time, but I don't always mean it 100%. But this time I do. Mr. Rob van Vuuren. Thank you, my friend. How are you doing?
It was so weird the way you
beautiful.
grabbed the tips of my fingers.
It's a very Oprah. Let's not speak about the time me and you were doing the Hillcrest Comedy Festival and we were in Mordor.
Hilton Festival. You see, this is how little you remember of that night.
Dude, I just remember driving into the darkness for like 25 minutes, and we stayed at this bed and breakfast spot.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And
But at night when I arrived there,
in the dark,
I was like,
in the
bruh,
mist,
I'm testing.
the hills have
I'm
eyes.
lost. I go, bruh, what in the hills have eyes? It was fantastic. It was a nice festival. Listen, dude, I want to start from the beginning. You're from the Eastern Cape.
Yeah.
Where in the Eastern Cape?
I was born in Kabeja.
Oh, you're a PE boy.
Yeah.
Where in PE?
We stayed. Where did I stay? We moved around. Colleen Glen. There was somewhere else.
More importantly, what schools did you go to?
Altona.
What?
Do you even know that? It's
No,
like
I
a little
don't
school outside near Seaview. Because we eventually moved to Seaview, stayed on a little small holding out there and went to this little school, Altona. Before that, I was at some school with nuns. I can't remember what it was, but there were nuns, and I remember eating
Makes sense.
dog food. That's my only memory of that school.
So listen.
And then moved to East London halfway through junior school.
And then where did you go to school in East London?
Lillyfontein.
Lillyfontein. So there's no boys' school in you. There's no, because in my head it was Grahamstown. It was in my head up. You put people in your head somewhere, and now you go like, this is a guy, comes from Grahamstown, Arts Oak.
Well, that was varsity.
Yeah.
So then I was supposed to do a high school at Selborne.
Okay.
I think I was enrolled and everything, but then we moved to Pietermaritzburg halfway through standard 5.
Why did you guys move so much? Both parents together?
Yes, at the time. Now
Yes.
they're not, although they kind of are.
Ah, it's beautiful.
My dad worked in insurance, and he was getting promoted. And every time he got promoted, we moved to a new place. Yeah. Then went to high school at Maritzburg College, and then varsity, Grahamstown, Makanda, Rhodes vibes.
So, but most of your childhood, where? Kabeja.
Eastern Cape. Even when we went to move to Pietermaritzburg, my gran was still in the Eastern Cape. Both sides of the grandparents were still in the Eastern Cape, and used to come back to East London a lot. That's like my spiritual home.
Me too. You know what's weird about Eastern Cape is that there's so many people from the Eastern Cape did really well in the arts that don't claim it. Like
They
you
don't claim it.
No, I don't think it's claimed. Like I claim it hard.
I claim it hard as
I
well.
know you claim it hard, but like I know some people they claim it, but it's not like I don't think people realize how many.
Eastern Cape is one of the biggest exporters of talent in the country.
100%.
Definitely. It's particularly in arts and sport, but like comedy as well. So many
And
comedians
in politics.
from the Eastern Cape, eh?
So
and
many.
politics,
And
yeah.
in politics, Mandela, Steve Biko.
Yeah.
Steve Biko, right? Yeah.
Holomisa, the general,
David Stierman.
daar's hy.
Well, that's not political. That's just anyway. Long story short is so you're an Eastern Cape boy.
What schools did you go to?
I was in Hankie. I was in Hankie Primera School.
Hankie.
My mother was a teacher at that very same. My mother went to school there and she was a teacher there for 43 years.
Oh my God.
My mother spent her whole life at that school. Like completely she never had a job anywhere else. She
That place.
school. And grade 1. She was a grade 1 teacher. And not grade 1, grade 3, sorry. And I'm from there. My father had a little store there. Little supermarket. corner shop vibe. My grandparents are from there, except my grandfather, one grandfather. And then I went to Andrew Rabi.
Andrew Rabi?
The rugby school.
Oh, my
Big, hy was a rugby.
Het jy rugby gespeel?
No, my friend, still.
Alfie?
Never.
Nee,
Not
nog
that
nie.
day. I got rugby jokes, but I've never touched that thing. You know, it was the kind of school they also go like, day one you get there, hello, ouderdom, positie. I'm like, huh? Positie? What do you mean? They were serious about rugby. So yeah, that's me. And then I came to UCT for a year, failed horribly.
Yeah?
Got on a scholarship, lost everything.
Oh, no.
Horrible story. Then I went back, best lesson of my life, went back, finished at UPE. It was still UPE then.
Yeah.
Got a BCom and then moved to Joburg. And then met you 6 to 8 years after that, doing stand-up.
When was the first time we met?
I don't know. I remember you were one of the guys that are very famous to me. Like I was like, because you must remember we were watching Corné and Twakkie was a hit.
I've been like semi-famous forever.
No, but Corné and but Twakkie was like, I also see it's like
Cult vibes.
yes,
Cult,
it's also
cult status vibes.
it's like I separate you and I separate Conrad from Chester Missing. I separate you from Corné and Twakkie. You know, it's so we met on the way stand-up vibes because you were very much. But this is more about you. This is what I wanted to know.
The first time we actually hung out together was that gig we did.
Can't even remember which one.
Bro, it was in the middle of nowhere in KZN, but for some reason we flew into Lanseria and then drove for like 9 hours.
Oh no,
that was you, me, Melt, and I think Ray was driving us.
Yes, that was the first time I ever did a vlog. Remember, yes, I came in with that big camera.
You had the thing in the car with you.
Yes,
I'd known you, but or you'd done one episode or something.
Dude, that was episode 2 or something like that.
Because I remember when you had it, I was like, oh, I've seen this thing that you're doing.
Yes. People were making fun of me still. You were like, wow, gaan jy meneer die moer se camera?
What are you doing?
I was very much the dude with a camera bag everywhere.
Yeah.
I remember Melt laughing his moer off at me, and then he made a video when the thing did well. He was like, I was wrong.
Oh, so wrong.
But yeah, so like we've known each other forever. But my thing is, you went to Grahamstown. What did you study? Were you in arts?
Drama, anthropology.
Anthropology, what is that? The study of?
The study of human adaptation and culture.
Of course, I was going to say.
But that's because I just wanted to do drama, and you have to have another major.
So you were in arts, Bachelor of Arts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I ended up doing an honours year in directing and acting, I think. And then, and then I just jumped straight into the industry as quickly as I could, writing stuff. I think that's what Rhodes did for me, is that in my second year, I wrote my first show because there was a departmental production that you auditioned for. Mm-hmm. And myself and my buddy James, who'd come from the same school as I, was also an actor. We auditioned, and there was another guy, Bevan Cullinan, who also auditioned.
We know Bevan.
You
and Bevan were at varsity together?
We were in the same year together.
I love Bevan, bro.
Me and Bevan go way back. So this is what happened is we did these auditions. James got in, and we hated him for it, into this departmental production. And we were like, well, what the fuck do we do now?
Yeah.
This is our dream, and we've come here and we didn't nail it. So Bevan and I just decided, well, let's write our own show.
Okay.
The festival's coming up. We live in the festival town. Let's do it. So we did. We wrote this weird little 2-hander physical comedy play called Squadron Marmite, which was like this weird, absurdist, existential clowning thing where these two dudes are thrown onto a stage and they slowly start figuring out what the hell they're doing. They slowly start making out the audience. It was like very kind of drama school stuff, but it gave us an opportunity to do comedy, to do physical comedy off of each other. We had these elaborate physical theater choreographic pieces that we would set off whenever either one of us said, what's black and flies across the desert? And the answer is Squadron Marmite. And that meant now we have to fight. Then we would do this big
fight scene, which was so fun. And to our surprise, the show did really, really, really well. People responded to it immediately, and we were like, what have we done? Wow, this is so strange. Yeah.
And that changed everything for me. just realizing, I don't have to wait. I don't have to wait for someone to say, you've got a job, or you can do this thing you've dreamed of your whole life of doing. I can actually just do it. And then from that moment on, that's how it's always been for me. Bevan and I wrote another play in our third year, Lunaspasm. No. Third year we did something called Tea Time at the Reykjavik Gizerdome, which James then joined in because he got into the departmental production, but he saw that we were suddenly becoming rock stars because we were doing it on our own terms. He was like, I want in on this shit. So then we wrote a show together. Yeah, and we just kept writing shows. So Bevan and I wrote about 4 or 5 shows together in the early days.
Really?
I directed his Gary the Tooth Fairy stage show that he did like 2010.
Yeah.
I wrote that show with him.
So for people that don't know, Bevan Khaled was the Tooth Fairy.
He was, Gary the Tooth Fairy.
He stole the Tooth Fairy.
Classic Mnet ads.
Yes.
Yeah, we started off together, built it from the bottom up.
2 things. One, Bevan went to like a proper clowning school or something of that nature, wasn't it?
He was obsessed with miming, and he'd had a technical background in that stuff that he'd done just from his own, I think, research and obsession. He's the most kind of obsessively compulsive, obsessed, focused people you'll ever meet. And I think he just put in. He used to busk at the waterfront a lot as a mime, and he just developed these skills. I think he went to lots of workshops and things, but then he came to varsity, studied under Andrew Buckland, who was also my hero, but Andrew's mimetic work was specifically what Bevan was drawn to. And then everything I know on a kind of mime principle is through Bevan, through Andrew. Kind of thing, that technical stuff. I'm still a little bit hazy.
It's amazing how people bump into each other in life like that. Like I didn't put you guys together, but it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Bevan Cullinan, I was very intimidated. I didn't add with him. And I was very intimidated because, as you know, I'm not an actor. So then I go...
And he's intense.
He's intense, but he made me feel so comfortable.
Really? That is so great.
The best experience one could have shooting an ad... There was no anger, nervous energy on set. He didn't allow for it.
That's so
He
great.
was chill, man.
Yeah.
It was like, you got that wrong. Let's try it this way. It's so nice.
Yeah.
But
he shot a couple of our very first Corné and Twakkie sketches for the TV show, for the Most Amazing Show. And he's also, still to this day, when I'm doing content for social media and I've got 2 takes that I can't decide on, I'll send them to Bevan.
Yeah.
And I'll say which one.
Yeah. He's in London now, eh?
Yeah.
Lives in London.
Yeah, and then he always gives me a long kind of detailed feedback as to why. And I fucking love it. I love how his brain works comedically as well. So,
yeah. He's really good. And then that thing you said that it took me way too long to figure this out. And it's part of breaking those rules, is that thing about, I don't have to wait for work. I can create the work. It's what set me free in stand-up. Yeah. Because for the longest time, it's so obvious, but that something must go off. You know, I remember COVID really pushed me over because I was still sort of somewhere in my head waiting for something.
Yeah.
And then there was nothing to wait for. There was nothing coming.
It's so interesting. You know, we talk about gatekeepers in this industry a lot. And what we don't realize is that very often the biggest gatekeeper we face is ourselves.
100%.
Because we think like we're waiting for permission.
Dude.
To get on the lineup or the show or whatever.
Yes.
And it's like, no. That's also why I've always loved you. I love you because you're so amazing and funny. Yeah. But I'm always drawn to people who don't go the usual route, who go, actually, fuck this. I don't need to follow the path that everyone says is the way to do it. 100%. Just create your own thing.
And if you look around, the guys that I see, like new comics do that and then become wildly... there's 2 guys, Abuti Lolo and Jam Jam. They just went, fuck it, and then just bang, huge.
Yeah. And then it resonates with people, right? Because it's someone just finding their own
way,
thing, whatever it is.
Making it work.
Yeah.
I think that when we are brought up in a system like the school system, we taught to like sort of follow this set of rules. and then we take that into our lives.
Yeah.
And the arts and business is not a place for that. It's a place for you must break those rules when necessary. Like otherwise, you'll sit and wait for the next to be on the lineup, and then you'll eventually get bitter.
The ironic thing is that in the arts, the obsession with the rules and the kind of pressure to follow the rules is really, really strong. I know from being in having a theatre background and studying theatre and coming up in this, there becomes a accepted language or the status quo, and then like everyone feels like that's the route you need to follow, that's the style you need to do, the parts you need to get, or the theatres you need to play for, whatever. And the same thing happens in comedy.
Yeah.
Like this is how good stand-up comedy looks and sounds. These are the clubs you have to play. These are the lineups you have to be on.
Yes.
These are the agents you have to get.
Yes.
And I think it's because it's so wild. Then we like this conditioning we have. We desperately seek rules. Someone tell me how to deal with this. This rule, like this chaotic space.
How can we create like a structure around this craziness?
So I think it's really hard to actually break free of that. But when you do, it's like, oh shit, absolutely, I can do this any way I want.
I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm way less angry than what I used to be. I'm way less angry now because I was waiting the whole time for my turn.
Yeah.
I was like, but when are they calling me? Then when I broke the rules and did my own thing, then they started calling. And then it starts making complete sense to you because you've created a demand around something that now makes business sense, and therefore these people will call you. But you get bitter, man. I got bitter a lot of the time. I was like, why are they putting Rob van Vuuren on this bloody lineup? Anyway, so I go, besides the Grahamstown thing as well, you are one of the only people, I'm just, no, this is my opinion, that is still selling out. Grahamstown is a staple for you. People have come and gone. Dude, I was there the one night and 200 load shedding, bro. People had to move from one venue to the next. 200 people packed out.
I wish I could say it was the same, but it's not.
But that was a couple of years ago.
It's not. I think the festival's just...
It's struggling.
It's struggling. It's just like there's so much kind of playing against it, and the program is still as brilliant as it ever was. The program every year is absolutely phenomenal, but the truth is people don't have money. They don't have disposable income as they used to. That audience has got really, really a lot smaller over time. And whereas in the past it used to be like a truly kind of national festival. I'm not talking in terms of the program, but in terms of the audience. People would come from all over the country.
Oh, yes.
And then, so you'd have almost a national microcosm of a national audience in this weird little space in the middle of the Eastern Cape with a national program of artists. Now what's happened is that audience has got smaller and more local. So you're playing to Makanda and surrounds locals. Like even it's a stretch to get people through from Port Elizabeth
and that was the
East London. And that back in the day was like
a thing, my friend.
Yeah. So, and I think it's weird because then the audience has kind of become a little bit more conservative in many respects.
Yeah.
Which is so interesting to me because my work has always been a little bit out there and weird and the atmosphere is very different 10 years ago to what it is now, and it feels within the audience a little bit more conservative than it was.
Really?
Which is weird.
Two things I'm going to agree with you on the thing that the audiences have definitely become smaller. 2 years ago, I was a bit late, so I couldn't get into the festival. And I wanted to go, but it was a bit late. And they did their best, but they couldn't help me, right? And then I went, let me just go and book the Monument Theatre off-season. And I sold more tickets.
Well, this is the thing.
I sold the same amount of tickets. Then I went, so what's happening at the festival? Because you go to a festival so that people can discover you in a way. Because like you go to... Remember how Grahamstown Festival used to be? My family used to save up to have accommodation there. And then they would have the little booklet. We're going to see Rob. We're going to see this one. that looks fringe, let's go and check that out. That doesn't exist anymore. Not like it used to, like you said. And it's sad.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like back in the day, I could go there with, 3 different shows, do 10 performances over the 11 of each show, and sell out every show. These days, I'm doing maybe 2 or 3 performances over the 2 weekends, maybe, and struggling to even fill those houses. It's a very different space. And it's something that I've also, you and I have spoken about a lot, is this, and what you've done so much with your path is bypassing the festival circuit. And it's a very, I almost feel weird talking about it because I've been the festival guy for so long. And I will forever be grateful to the National Arts Festival in particular for shaping me and giving me a career, all of that stuff. But that festival circuit is not, I mean, it was always tricky, but I think it's even harder. And I think it's a global situation at the moment right now. Yeah. Having done Edinburgh, the cost involved in that, all the Australian festivals that are happening there. And what you do, and what I'm trying to do as well, is exactly that model. Go there, go to the place, but outside of the festival. Because you're not competing with everyone else on the festival.
On the roster. No,
you're not paying the same kind of accommodation prices and food prices because everything gets pushed up over that time. We're not the kind of acts that, like, we've built an audience. Right?
Yeah, they're coming to see us.
They're coming to see you.
Yeah.
So you don't have to. It's not. I don't know. And I think
how many people are discovering you at the festival?
At a festival,
you know what I mean?
There are some, but I don't think it.
It's not more than 5% of that.
Yeah, it doesn't justify the cost anymore, and the possible look. You could do something amazing and pick up an international tour, an international agent, like so many people are doing. But even then, it's. You're in that festival circuit with an agent who's pushing you to go and do those festivals over and over and over again. You're not necessarily making any money. It could be for the first couple of years losing money.
Yeah.
You and I both know people who are doing that.
Yes.
So I don't know. There's a trade-off that doesn't make sense to me anymore. And it was so interesting doing Edinburgh, speaking to local artists there. What do I say local artists? Artists who have been doing Edinburgh for years. Yeah. And so many of them complain about the same
thing.
Should we complain about in Makanda? It's too expensive. All the accommodation prices are too expensive. There's too much competition. There's too few audience. The food's too expensive. It's just like, it's the same shit. So it feels like, it doesn't
make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
To be fair, Rob, I completely agree with you. But to be fair, for a lot of those festivals, and I'm going to say the National Arts Festival, if we can get the people to come out again and the economy does well and all those factors come in, I would go there with pleasure. Totally. Because in fact, it's very cheap for us to do that festival because I don't have to bring gear, lights, and all those things in.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the global festival space, you're right. People are spending, and I don't think the audience is, I don't think they I appreciate it when I see my friends going and trying it out because I understand that they are dropping 250,000 Rand before they sold a ticket. And I know it's an enormous amount of money that we've got friends that save their whole year to go to the festival and then start again and then tell you and come back and tell you, dude, I had 40 people in a container. That happens.
Yeah.
And also, the weird thing about the world now and social media, I hate it or love it. I tell people this all the time, like, you're not going to get this. It's not necessarily like there's any, I don't think people are scouting for talent there like they used to.
Yeah, it's not.
They're waiting. Yes.
It's not the same as it used to be.
Yes.
And in fact, the talent is creating itself on social media. And that's what's happening is you're getting someone explode on social media and then you just jump onto that following that they've created. Masood's a great example of that.
Masood's a great example of that.
You know, he just blew up.
Yeah.
Agent picked him up and now he's just touring. He didn't need to go to a festival and get noticed. It's just a different model. So it's really super interesting for me. And I don't know.
Dude.
Like, I don't know.
No one knows anymore.
I'm like, I'm just trying out. But like your model, I think is super interesting. And that's that's what I want to try to do more. Like, I know I've got to go to Australia and New Zealand. There's so many Namaste Bae fans there. But I don't want to spend $250K to go play at a festival where I'm competing against everyone. So I want to go and do it. Just go and do a couple of shows. Dalen's doing the same thing. He's following your model, and I think it's working really, really well.
I've been fortunate. The weird thing is I lost a lot of money in the beginning. A lot. And now, because the festival knows me, so I'm part of the main festival in Perth and Sydney, and now they sort of help me pay for things.
Yeah.
Because they now know I'm going to make... but in the beginning, dude, you're swiping credit cards. I've spoken about this at length. You're swiping credit cards and you're hoping, you know?
Yeah.
And if that audience doesn't rock up that night, it is what it is. But that being said, you have done a lot of this stuff. You actually were the originator of this thing. This thing where, like Namaste Bae, now I think a lot of youngsters know you for that now. It went from, dude, I saw you had like 15,000 followers, and then all of a sudden, bang!
It's like 9,000 to 100,000 over 2 months.
And it was just hit the nerve. And when I watched it, I couldn't stop consuming. For the first 2-3 months, bro, I couldn't wait for a video.
You were obsessed, yeah.
I love Namaste Bae. Weirdly enough, I've never been able to go to the live show. I do see things.
Haven't you?
Dude. Were you putting the I
oh my God, you gotta come and be healed, Alfie. Come on.
Come and heal. That thing where you put your finger in the brass belly button. It's not inappropriate, but it feels dirty.
That whole show is, it's just
I'm coming to the next one.
It's like, it's on the edge of
I love that.
everything.
But how, first of all, that social media explosion, has it made a difference in your sales? Has it made a difference in your life?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's suddenly you have a global audience. You have access to a global audience that you didn't have before.
Yes.
You have a global fan base suddenly out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's been a very interesting ride, and I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what I got right. I don't know what I got wrong. I don't know what I'm getting right. I don't know what I'm getting wrong.
Yeah.
I'm like a complete technophobe as well, which is a total disaster.
I think it helps.
Maybe,
I think it helps.
To just kind of go in with a blind kind of...
Just let your freak flag fly, man. It's working.
Yeah. And I think that's what I'm also trying to do is just use that space as a creative play space, and to not censor myself too much and not edit too much and just throw shit out, because you never know when something catches. Like Namaste Bae was a mistake. I was just fucking around on a swim I was having.
Yeah.
I was actually trying to promote my stand-up show, which dealt with ayahuasca-related stuff.
Yeah.
And the voice came out, and that video went viral, and I was like, oh, let me do another one in that voice. And I did, and by the 4th video, it had exploded. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing this guy now.
You went into that niche, that guru thing that everyone loves on the internet, and then you played up against it, and it was just done.
Yeah, the timing was great as well, because now, of course, the internet is saturated with the like satirizing alternative health and wellness. They're everywhere now.
Yeah.
So that's quite a tricky thing. Is
two of you,
and we were at the same time. Hey, it was just like exploded on different sides.
Masood tells me, Masood Boomgod, for those comedian, turban, nice guy. He said he went to bed and he had like 3,000 or 4,000 followers. Woke up and 100,000 new ones were there.
Crazy.
Now, he actually had anxiety about it.
Yeah.
And I understand that.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I
sudden,
say, I don't know what I'm doing. And so much of it has been guesswork. So much of it has been completely overwhelmed by the... Yeah. Suddenly you're like, oh...
Yeah.
Shit, you have to do this, and creating content. And like within the first 3 months, I think I was creating a reel every day, a new one. I wrote... an entire show within like 2 weeks. At the end of December, I was like, okay, I have to create a show out of this, because that's my safe zone. That's my like strong point. So I was like, okay, I write a 60-minute show that I can then tour. Lo helped me with that. We got together, did like 3 or 4 rehearsals, just like banged out this show. Was performing it within like 2-3 weeks. And then it was just this pressure to kind of keep creating content. And And that has its pros and cons, because I look back on that content that I created over that time and I'm incredibly proud of it. Like I look through it and I'm like, geez, there's so many good gags here. Like the writing is so strong, and it's just like gag after gag after gag after gag, and day after day after day after day. But then it definitely got to a point where the pressure was overwhelming. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And then also what people didn't realize is I'm not like, I have like jobs. I have actual jobs that I do for money, where I get paid to do the thing.
Yeah, to write, to act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Making content on social media is not my job.
Yes.
And like then I like, you know, I get cast in a movie, and like that's my job.
Yes.
That's my focus. And for the next month I'm doing that.
Yeah.
But in the back of my head it's like, you got to feed the
monster.
feed the beast, feed the monster.
And you get nervous. I get nervous. I go, I haven't posted something in 5 days.
And then your confidence and all, and like, and then I got to points where I would just shut down.
Yeah.
I was just like, for months I didn't post anything.
Yeah.
And then you realize, and then you think, oh shit, it's gone. That thing, it's gone. But it doesn't actually go.
It doesn't really go.
It sticks
You
around,
feel like
and then
that.
then you can feed it again, and it starts to come back to life. It's not the same thing it was.
Yes.
I mean, initially in that first month, I could post a picture for a show and I'd sell out within seconds.
Yeah.
Wherever I was doing it.
Yeah.
It's not the same now.
Yes.
Now you have to work a little bit harder. Some of that initial kind of glow has fallen away, but now there's a core fan base who are a lot more kind of invested in a long-term kind of way. So I'm still trying to, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck is going on, bro.
That makes two of us, my friend. We just...
I'm just trying to, okay, whatever.
Yeah. The big thing for me was just and this is my thing, is that I always played myself, which made it easier. But I would also go through long periods of, I really don't have it in me to make a video today or make a joke today. And then
what's interesting is when I did Namaste Bae, it was because I had been doing videos as myself. Yeah. And I was hating it so much. I hated speaking to camera as myself. And I was like, I can't.
There's safety in a character.
Yeah, the character. And I mean, you know, Taki has the moustache. So that felt to me like a safe space.
How did you come up with, how did you come up with Twakkie, for example? Like, because I mean, Namaste Bae we know.
Twakkie.
How did Corné and Twakkie come on?
Twakkie came out of meeting Lo Venter.
Yes. Who was basically
who's Corné in the Most Amazing Show. We met for the first time on it was first on a commercial or like, no, there was some weird, there was a movie, Final Solution it was called. It was like a political thriller or something. And we were kind of secondary characters, and we just hung around on set and started talking cuck. There was a commercial we'd been cast together on, hung around set, started talking cuck, just gelling on a banter kind of level. And then we got cast in this movie by a Dutch director. This movie was called Adrenaline, and it was about a bunch of like thrill seekers. This is back in 99.
Okay.
We're young, early 20s.
Yeah.
Get cast in this weird Dutch action movie with a bunch of kind of international actors and a bunch of South African actors. And Lo at the time had been doing this character Corné.
Yes.
At something he called arty parties. Him and his friends would get together, a bunch of creatives, and put on skits and things like this. And he'd done this character Corné once, who spoke in this weird accent and had this fake moustache. I don't think he had the huge fake penis at that point. I think it came a little bit later. But we just started gelling on set and talking cuck, and he started speaking in this accent. And it's like, it's viral. You can't help but speak when someone starts talking like that, guy. So I was like, wow, why do you keep talking like this? It's so very interesting. I want to be a friend. And then we just riffed like that for the longest time. At the time, I wanted to do stand-up for the first time. And I'd booked myself a gig at an open mic thing off Long Street called Zem Cafe.
Who was running it?
I'm not a comedian. It was Lance. My friend Lance was running it. He's a musician. And I was going to do this gig, and I was so nervous about doing stand-up for the first time because I'd come from theatre background, physical comedy, But I knew stand-up was something I wanted to do. But as the tension over the week built up, the night that I was supposed to perform, do my first stand-up, it got cancelled because of something. And he said, sorry, we're going to go next week. I was like, I can't come back next week. It's done. That was it. That was my thing. But what I can do is me and my buddy Lo will come with this thing that we're doing. Then we got together. I said, Lo, I can't do stand-up, but we're going to do this thing. Bring Corné. And we sat down and he was like, okay, if I'm Corné, then you've got to be my sidekick, and you've got to be your name's got to be something like Twakkie. And we're like, yes, Twakkie. And they've got to be doing the show that they think is like the most amazing show.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. It's called The Most Amazing Show. And we just started talking shit like that. The next week we put on a 15-minute show that we thought was hilarious, but also insane. Like we didn't think anyone else was gonna take to it. We thought like this is madness. Bro, we went out there, we did the weirdest 15 minutes of comedy. It had a DIY show section where we made half a Jesus.
With what?
A piece of wood that Corné drilled into Twakkie's hand by mistake. And it was supposed to be making something else. And then he was like, okay, that's half a Jesus. I don't know. It was weird. We had a magic show. I can't remember, but it was weird.
Yeah.
And people loved it.
Yeah.
They loved it. I remember they have a very clear memory of being in the dressing room afterwards with Lo, like taking off these fake moustaches going, did you feel that? Yeah. There's definitely something here.
Yeah.
And then we just wrote a new show every weekend. We would go, we did, I think, 2-3 weeks at Ob's Cafe.
Yeah.
We wrote a full hour and a half of comedy every week. Then we went and did a residency at Armchair for I don't know how long, but we would come back every weekend with a new
Corné
and Twakkie show every single weekend. A full new hour and a half. People didn't know what to expect. And we would do like crazy shit, like leave in a car halfway through the show, or abseil into the building, or get everyone on stage and tie them together in a knot, or like just the maddest shit we could think of. And building the mythology of these characters, because we wrote so much content over that first year, we just had a wealth of material. We knew these characters' backstories, we knew their lineage, we knew their, so when the show just grew and grew and grew, and when we did the TV show, we had so much to draw on. Yeah, we knew them back to front.
And listen, did it change the public perception of you? Like, did you walk around and people still recognize you for Twakkie the most?
Yeah, not the most, but definitely still a lot of, I get a lot of Twakkie. It's amazing how people connected to that show. Especially the TV show. I mean, we only had 2 seasons of that TV show, but there is a bond that people have with that TV show, with friends and family members that they watched it with.
Yeah.
Like so often we'll get people coming up to me and saying, I watched every Thursday night. Me and my brother would sit and we would watch this TV show. My parents didn't want us to watch it because it was too late and it was too weird, but we fucking watched it.
Yeah.
And we taped it.
Yeah.
So many stories like that where
it's definitely a cult hit, man. Like it's
this.
It's also like one of those things where, you know what was nice about it? It was so silly. So silly. Didn't take itself seriously at all in a time where people were really quite serious. Like it was that time where people were starting to figure out what the political landscape was gonna be.
Yeah.
It felt like and here was these 2 zany characters.
It was great. I mean, what was rad is that they were so
didn't have an agenda.
And so silly, and so they were clowns, really.
Yeah.
But it gave us a lot of freedom in terms of the kind of satire we could do with Corné and Twakkie. And in fact, we like the political satire that we were doing, the social commentary that we were doing, worked on a level because the characters were such clowns and because they were so silly.
Yes.
It's almost like that shit could happen without you being necessarily super aware of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Which,
dude.
Yeah, fascinating. Those I look back and I go, yeah, I can't believe I was a part of that. I can't believe we made that.
It feels, but you bring it back every now and then, it reappears.
Yeah. I'm throwing Twakkie into some of my Instagram videos now.
I saw.
What if gets in my mind? Corné's he's in some sort of institute dealing with addiction issues, and I want Twakkie to free him. I think Twakkie's going to break him out. I'm going to try convince Lo to come and do some
that'd be great.
Corné and Twakkie videos.
That's fantastic. You must do that. And so, but you've been very good at finding a character and then it becomes this whole thing. Like my favorite now is the poetry corner. Salutations.
Poetry. He was a character that I actually had years ago called Warrior Poet. He's a warrior poet. Same principle, which is an idea I stole from a Peter Sellers sketch I remember seeing when I was a kid. He did an appearance on some BBC show where he was dressed up as Richard III, I think.
Yeah.
Richard II or Richard III. I think it was Richard III. William Shakespeare's Richard III. Peter Sellers dressed up in this thing on a throne, black and white TV. And all he did was recite the lyrics to the Beatles' Hard Day's Night. And it was just one of the funniest, most ridiculous
himself
things.
very seriously.
Yeah, super serious. I was like, that's so hilarious.
It's very funny.
And I suppose over the years, listening to contemporary music and like some of the lyrics that come through, I was like, this is a space that's also so rife for...
Yeah.
All you have to do is say these lyrics.
Yes, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. But what I'm finding fun about that character now is to really kind of delve into his personal interpretation of the poems and why he writes them and what is his story behind them, which is all bullshit, obviously, because they're not his poems.
Yes.
It's like Michael Jackson's Thriller. It's
Yes.
not, you didn't write it.
Yeah.
But he's made up this whole story for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for like, there's this watch review guy that is the spitting image of that guy. I'm going to send you links.
The what?
There's a guy that reviews watches.
Oh, really?
That is, he also does the polo neck, he's English.
Really? Please
Yes.
send it to me.
Yes,
It's amazing to me how many of these characters that I do where people go, I know this guy.
Dude.
I know this guy. He goes to my squash club or something. And they're like, they can give me an exact description of him.
It's again that connection to the truth. Even Twakkie, as ridiculous as he may be, we know oaks like that. You know, like sorta.
Yes.
It's obviously way more exaggerated, but there's some truth in him.
Yeah.
You know, it's always the truth that it has to resonate on some level.
Yes.
Right?
And I think that for me is when a character really the characters that I enjoy inhabiting or playing with, I think they have kind of, they've got deep flaws, you know? There's problems and they're vulnerable and they're trying to present this image of success or knowledge or certainty or whatever, but it keeps getting undercut by the fact that they don't know what the fuck is going on. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I think there's a vulnerability. The vulnerability in them is what endears them to the audience, maybe, that it's not just like, oh, I'm poking fun at these type of people, because that's not really what I'm interested in. I want to show like how are these people and what's actually going on for them. Like for me, one of the really interesting characters at the moment is the banter guy that I do with the puffy cheeks.
And the Woody.
No, the hoodie guy is a different guy. He's like a super Christian obsessed workout guy. The banter guy is like, he's toxic masculinity. He's constantly saying the wrong thing at parties. He's always saying something misogynistic.
Yeah.
He's like that. He went to an all boys school, lots of jocks. He wants to be a jock desperately. He wants to be the popular guy.
Yeah.
But he's the nerd, but he's trapped in that kind of toxic masculinity space. And he's also maybe Aspergic or something, so he doesn't understand the social cues. Yeah. So he's a victim of that.
Yeah. He's in this no man's land.
Totally.
Between the two. And both are rejecting him.
Exactly. And that's always fascinating for me. Yeah. Corné and Twakkie with that. When we pitched the show to the TV space, one of the main things we kept on going on about is these characters are liminal characters.
Yeah.
In that they don't belong in one place or another. They kind of occupy this space in between
the two worlds. Yeah.
And that's why Corné and Twakkie was so interesting culturally, because they were white, but you couldn't quite place what kind of white and where this white was from. And yes, there may be Afrikaans, but that accent's not quite Afrikaans, is it?
Enough.
There's maybe like Portuguese vibes going on there.
There is.
We don't know. You know, it's like you can't really place them. The fact that they lived in caravan parks, which is like is a liminal space in society. It's not in society. It's not out of society. The fact that they travel, it made them really interesting culturally, because they could kind of dip in and out of cultures, and they weren't particularly
one thing. You also don't piss off a specific group too much.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
We tried not to. But didn't always work out that way.
You also do a ton of movie work. I mean, you just did a little video where I went like this accent, where you did like, you auditioned for an American role. It was on Facebook. And then I thought, are you one of those guys that like, or is it important that when you send a self-audition into an American production, because you've done a lot of overseas stuff, right? You do a lot of movies. Your IMDb is full, right? Is it important for you they mustn't see you almost, if you're auditioning for an American part, for example, is it important for them to not hear your South African accent at all, not even when you say your name? Do you think it helps the perception of those things?
I don't know. Sometimes
you just come out the gate, my name is Rob van Vuuren.
Sometimes I'll do, like, if I'm auditioning for a character that's in an American accent, then I'll just do the accent
from the get-go. Never stop. Yeah.
But not always.
Yeah.
That's not always the case. Sometimes I'll do my ID straight, and then I'll do the audition in the accent. I don't really know which is the better way to do it.
I would say the better way to do it, and I'm probably going to get flack for this, in my head, is the I'm just doing the accent the whole time, because people, and this is just me from interviewing people in day jobs, people's triggers is that, oh, he's working at this accent.
Yes.
There's another thing we need to overcome. Yeah. How long can he keep this up?
Yeah, and if you've got the reference of, oh, he doesn't actually speak like this.
Yes.
Then you constantly, when he does change, you're thinking,
oh, he's working now, actually. Never stops. So listen, you know what? Something that was interesting to me was that massacre movie. It was Slumber
Party Massacre.
That was massive overseas. Didn't it do well?
Well, it was like, it's a small little independent film that was just released online. I think it was.
It was a slasher.
Yeah, it's a cult slasher movie from not a remake, but a reimagining. I think there were 3 or 4 that were made back in the 80s, 90s. The first one was made, I think, mid-80s. And it had this kind of cult following as this weird B-grade slasher. And at the time, the original was super interesting because it was written by a woman. And it had this really interesting kind of feminist, satirical slant to it that poked fun at a lot of the tropes present in slasher movies and the horror genre at that time. Yeah. And it's because of that and a couple of other reasons, the guy who played the murderer, Russ Thorne, this actor, I think his name's Michael Vieira, I don't want to say that, please forgive me if Slumber Party Massacre fandom out there, but he turned in this really incredible kind of cult-like performance of this guy. Yeah. Very strange performance, but he had this weird high-pitched voice, these big googly eyes. Yeah. He sadly passed away, I think last year or the year before, but it gained this cult following. And then 2022, there was a casting for this thing, a Canadian female director, a female screenplay writer, and this really fun script where they pushed all of those tropes and tried to subvert all the misogyny like kind of in that world. So it was a really, really fun script, all shot in South Africa, but made to look like it's in the States. Typical kind of cabin holiday vibes, lots of teenagers, shower scenes, pillowcase fights, but it's not the girls, it's the guys kind of thing. It's and I got to play this psychotic murderer. And the performance was based entirely on this original guy's performance from the 1980 film.
Yes.
With the googly eyes.
Yes.
I love you. It's like weird.
Did you have fun doing it?
Oh, dude, it was so much fun. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
It's such a fun genre to work in from a technical point of view, I found, especially being the murderer guy, because you're the shape that's in the corner of the picture.
Yes.
You're the eyes in the bush. You're the shoulder that the thing is happening over. So from a technical point of view, it was really interesting for me that the physical kind of choreography between my body as the baddie and the camera and then also just being able to play like pure menace and gory death scenes.
Very gory.
Very gory.
I saw like snippets, but I'm still trying to find the movie, to be honest.
What is it on? It's on...
well, if I find it, I will put it in the bottom of this thing.
It was on Sony FX, I think, was the original channel that... I think that you can get DVDs, and I'm sure it must be on streaming platforms. But it did really well. It's got this rad little cult following. People love it.
So many interesting... Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah.
That was it.
So you have such an interesting thing, because like you've played so many different things, from Van der Merwe to this, to like being in movies with Arnold Vosloo, to you've done some... What would you say is the biggest international production you've been part of?
The biggest one.
Well, the most noteworthy, at least. Because there's a lot on there.
I got to do a couple of different things, but what was cool is getting to do. So I did a long time ago, Long Walk to Freedom.
Yes.
And I got to meet Idris Elba on
The
set,
Idris
which
one,
was amazing.
How was he? Nice.
Oh, he was so rad. He was so chilled. He was so cool. I didn't even have a scene with him. I was in a scene that he was on set that day, and he watched it. And then I was in the dressing room, and I knew the makeup ladies, and I was like, "Is Idris on set today?" And they were like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I am obsessed with this guy," because I was so into The Wire at the time.
Yes.
I was like, I got to meet Stringer Bell, man.
Yes,
please. And they were like, he's in his trailer. Go pop your head in and say hi. And I was like, I can't do that. And they were like, he is the most chill dude. Just do it. I promise you. It'll be fine. And I did. I popped my head in. He was like, "Hey, hi, come in." I was like, I really want to say I'm like such a huge fan. Yeah. And he was just really chilled. He was like, I saw the scene you were just shooting. It was really intense, man. It was really, really good. And I was like, thank you so much. So cool. I did a scene with Jodie Foster. On a movie called The Mauritanian with that Benedict Cumberbatch was also. Yes. I just play like a security guard guy at Guantanamo Bay. I've got like 3 or 4 lines. Yeah. But it's with Jodie freaking Foster, dude, who a Taxi Driver was one of the seminal movies in my like kind of film life. Yeah. And to be looking at her and saying my line in my American accent, but all I can think in my head is
Jodie Foster. What did she say? Did you speak?
Very like professional. Nice to meet you, kind of thing. Separate, go do the thing. She was super.
She stopped for a while, came back.
Yeah, and did a lot of directing work, and that was amazing. I just recently got to do a film with Embeth Davids, which was an incredible experience. She was she was in Schindler's List.
Embeth Davids.
She was Miss Honey in Matilda. Do you remember Matilda? Danny DeVito's Matilda.
Yes.
She was the Miss Honey, the teacher, and the beautiful teacher. She was also in Bicentennial Man with Robin Williams. A lot of really incredible
big
movies.
Productions.
And she directed and wrote her first film recently. Yeah, we shot it. I think it was 2 years ago now, and I'm not allowed to talk about it too much because the trailer's just dropped and there's a whole thing. But I got to be in this incredible
movie,
political. It's set in Zimbabwe at the time of the passover of power. It's about this white farm family and specifically through the views of this little kid. Wow. Incredible movie. It's based on a best-selling novel by Alexandra Fuller called Don't Let's Go to the Dogs Tonight. The movie's of the same name. Yeah, I got to play alongside Embeth Davids, who studied at Rhodes as well, so we like really kind of bonded over that. Did? Yeah. I got to play a husband, which was like, I was just like, what is going on here? Who am I? What is happening? Yeah, so I've got to do some like really fun things. I got a small part in a very big Netflix series, one of their biggest ones that shoots in Cape Town. I don't know if I can even mention that. I'm sure there's all sorts of things about that. Have to. It's fine. Hopefully, I'll get a recurring part on that. Who knows?
Cool.
But yeah, but my film career has been really interesting over the last since COVID.
Yeah.
Weirdly, that's when it picked up because everything was shut down for live shows.
Yeah.
And suddenly I had way more time. So when I was auditioning for a film,
you really got into it.
I really got into it. And I was like, that was my lifeline.
Yeah, and you're a trained actor, so a thespian. Goodness, man. But you left out one of your most important roles with Sivin Gessi in. What is that? Is that cop? Is that cop movie you did?
I'll fuck you up. Siv and I, we will both find you.
You know, let me tell you something.
That's how we traumatize. Siv and each other, we traumatize each other by sending screen grabs of that.
What is it? Composites? Fantastic piece of theater. Dude, listen. I want to know, how do you get... Do you have to buy?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, you can buy. Don't worry. You must just ask somebody in there to open for you. And knock... Because we're still going on here, my bro. No stress. See you tomorrow. See you. I'll chat to you. Bro sitting there acting. I need to go. Yeah. So... how do you basically, my question was that how do you, these big parts, how do you even get into that conversation? Do you have an agent overseas? Is it your agent here? Are they looking for people?
It's my agent here, and a lot of the stuff, so much stuff is being shot in South Africa.
Yeah.
You know, these days over the last couple of years, it's really,
there's
a lot more stuff coming through here.
Yeah.
So I'll get, a lot of the time you'll just get a brief through your agent, and then you put yourself down on tape or you go in for an audition. Sometimes it happens in weird ways. Like I shot a pilot for a TV show in Finland.
Yeah? So you fly out there?
Yeah, it was straight off the back of Namaste Bae. It was like 2 months after Namaste Bae went viral.
Yeah.
I'm busy writing the show, prepping the stage show. My agent gets a call from some Mexican director to say, we want Rob to shoot this pilot in Helsinki in 2 weeks' time. I was like, what? They send through the script idea. It's like this really trippy drug kind of comedy. He'd apparently taken to his producer and said, we found the guy to play this character, this hippie character that we've been looking for. And she was like, yeah, that's great, except this guy's never going to be able to remember his lines because he's clearly on drugs. Because he was showing her Namaste Bae videos. He was like, no, he's an actor. This is
a character.
So then they flew me over and I did this pilot with super interesting cast, very well established character film actor called Jeff Bell in the UK, who I'm still in contact with. Amazing guy. He's done like a lot of the Guy Ritchie films. He's like
serious.
Yeah, he's proper. Yeah. Some Mexican actors and Irish actor. It was like fascinating experience. And then for Ludic, for instance, the producers on that, one producer in particular, was very keen to see me for the part, which was great because it was a part that wouldn't normally have been associated with me. It was a way more dramatic role, Afrikaans.
Yeah.
And they'd always wanted to cast someone kind of out of type for the part of Swayze in Ludic to play opposite Arnold. And initially they had Frank Opperman in mind.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
For a similar reason,
Really?
comedic actor, normally associated with comedic roles. And for whatever reason, it didn't work out. I think it was scheduled for on Frank's side, thankfully. And then they decided to go a little bit younger with it and got to read the part. They sent through all 4 scripts that they had at the time. I read those scripts and I was just like, I have to get this part. I was like, this is... And I just did audition after audition. They kept asking me to... They initially asked me to audition for someone else.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where I did that audition well and they were like, do you want to try this one? And I was like, yes, that's the one I really want to try. And then did that and they were like, we like it, but we've got to convince more people. Will you do another one? And I did another audition until eventually they convinced the right people and got me the part. And I had this amazing experience shooting that part. Swace, just like one of the best characters I've ever got to play. And alongside Arnold Vosloo, who is one of the 3 raddest human beings you'll ever meet. He's like, I love that guy so much. I love stories, dude.
Really? Dude, I loved when he went to the Oscars with that Bucky, with the champion Bucky. You know that?
No.
He rocked up with a champion, my bro.
God,
like an old school champion.
He is a legend.
Well, is he a cool guy?
Such a great guy. Really, really amazing guy. Down to earth. So much fun. Dirty sense of humor.
Fantastic.
He is just...
right up a comics alley.
Bro, we had so much fun just because we were all staying in the same place, hanging out after a day of shooting. Best times. Yeah,
does he live here now? Because he does a lot of work here now.
He's, I think he's back in SA.
Yeah, because I see him around.
And that was his big thing while shooting Ludik is he just loves the country. He loves South Africa. He loves getting to work in Afrikaans. And he doesn't really need to work anymore. The guy's like, he's he kind of... I mean, he smashed it in Hollywood.
When the Mummy was massive, I can't imagine that you need to really... I think the residual checks, because, I mean, they say residuals aren't that big, but on a movie where you're the second lead...
And there's a time when those things went big, they went really big.
Yeah, no, that thing was big.
And he did some incredible stuff as well. Like really, he did one of the first John Woo films that was filmed in the States.
He was an art target, man.
That's it.
And then Randall.
Yes, yeah.
And what I respected about him was, and at the time it broke my heart a little because I was younger, and you have you imagine Jean-Claude Van Damme to be a very cool guy, and then there's an interview with Arnold going, he wasn't very nice to me at all. I was like, I respect that because that's career limiting at the time.
Yeah.
You can imagine. But
he was great. I loved working on that. It was amazing.
That's always good to hear that the guy is cool. But now, so tell me, the auditioning, like, do you have, because I've stopped doing those things. I've learned a long time ago I'm not an actor. I mean, if you have a part in there where I don't have to speak, fantastic. The thing is, do you have a process? Do you have a process when you go and audition for something? Is there like a specific... Like Glenn Biederman Pam, friend of ours. Glenn, like this is when I learned about actors. Like the fact that he's off script on the day of whatever he's starting to work on.
Yes.
Blows my mind. Because I'm like, I can't get all those words in my head. How do you operate?
Look, I think it just makes your job so much easier if you know the words, know them backwards. And for an audition specifically, I like to be off book if it hasn't been thrown at me at the last minute. Yeah, so you can play and not messes with your rhythm if you're going down and checking the paper.
Yeah.
So I like to prep as much as possible and make it. It's such a tricky thing with auditioning because half of the job is actually not caring.
Yeah.
It's like it's such a weird thing because you've got to make yourself incredibly vulnerable. You've got to want this thing so much so that you treat it with the respect that it deserves and the kind of love that you hope will give you the job. But at the same time, you know that if you do that too much, it's desperate. And that's the last thing anyone wants.
Yeah.
So it's got to be vulnerable, honest, truthful, but not desperate, not care too much.
Yeah. Drive home and go,
Yeah, so that's half of it. Is like I try to go. I don't know. I try to not think about it too much. I try to go with intuitive kind of sense of it. I try to learn the lines as much as possible, but I also try not to get too stuck in it or whatever. And the biggest thing is once it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
Like let it go, forget about it.
Does it leave a mark? Because you go places emotionally with a character. Does it leave a mark? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? You are that character for a while.
I'm not like I don't prescribe to the whole method vibes. I'm not like, don't carry that shit around with you.
Yeah.
It's just painful. Like, who wants to live like that?
Yeah.
Like, how are you supposed to have relationships with people if
you have a kid?
I can't. I got a 14-year-old. Like, shit is going on that needs to be dealt with.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. What was the question?
No, I was just like, does it leave a mark? Like these emotions, because you go and play. Like,
you know what I think leaves them, like, it's not necessarily the places you have to put yourself in, like, I have to think like I did one play where the guy is a psychopath, you know, and the Slumber Party Massacre is a psychopath. So you're taking your brain to a certain place, but to me, it's not about like, it's not that.
Yeah.
It's more, I think it's more just the vulnerability. Like you that thing of you, and that can be through comedy, it can be through drama, it can be through whatever.
Yeah.
It's the putting yourself out there, whether it's for an audition, whether it's for a performance, whatever it's for, it's that constant thing of going,
oof, man. Nude and vulnerable.
Yeah, and that's what we do. And we try to do that in a way that we protect ourselves and that it we find ways to go, to close off again and to protect that. But at the same time, it is that thing. You're constantly doing that. And if you do that, you are vulnerable.
100%.
And so you can pretend like shit doesn't affect you, but of course it does.
Yeah.
But I think that's also just like a ongoing thing, and I don't know, but I think it is. I don't know. What's interesting is that I have. I mean, you know this. The more you want something, the less likely it's kind of gonna happen.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with an audition kind of process. And I got to a point where I realized, I might not, whatever job I'm auditioning for, I might not get that job, but I'm going to get a job.
Yeah.
I'm good enough. I know I'm good enough that I will get a job.
Yeah.
And it might not be the job that I think I want. Yeah. But very often the job that I don't think I want is the job that I really need. And that really takes me to a different place and surprises me in a way I wasn't expecting. So I think what I've gotten better at over the last couple of years is just enjoying the ride.
Yeah.
And not chasing. I'm not chasing a thing anymore.
Yeah.
Because I got to a point where I realized I'm in the thing.
Yeah.
You're in it. I'm doing the thing. I've been doing the thing for a while now.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think I was so stuck in this thing of the next thing. I didn't take stock of what I had done.
Yes.
And it's also a lockdown thing where you suddenly have the time and you look back and you go like, holy shit, did I make all of that stuff?
You did a lot of stuff, Rob.
And then realizing, that wave that I've created, that's going to keep taking me and it's going to take me to different places.
Yeah.
And I don't actually have to worry.
Yeah.
I can actually just enjoy where it takes me.
That is very important. That's a great takeout. My thing is, this is why I say you've done a lot of stuff. I always do a little bit of, I don't come in here just winging it completely. I do some looking up. And I looked at your stuff and I was like, dude, you have a lot of work behind you.
Yeah.
So you beyond the I'm doing the thing, you almost like at that you can hand over the awards to people level. You know what I mean? It's time, you know. But now where does stand up fit in this thing? Because I go, first off, you one of the very few, like I've got friends that, we've got friends that do acting. We've got a lot of comedians that try and be actors, right? But we actually have very few trained actors that try and be comics. And there's a period of time, and sometimes it never leaves an actor, that stage training that like it's almost like they need to get out of their own way to be natural as a stand-up.
Yeah.
You don't have that. You somehow, when I watched you, my favorite set you've ever done, I could tell you, it was at that Joburg Comedy Festival, and I was there one night, and you were on the lineup, and you were speaking about ayahuasca, and I was gone that night because there was a combination of vulnerability and hilarity that just came together, and I was like, "Shit, Rob, that was it just stuck with me. It was hilarious, and it wasn't an actor that night. You know what I mean? Like there's things actors tend to do sometimes.
Yeah,
you know?
look, I certainly had that in the beginning.
Yeah.
And there was definitely a transition phase where I had to kind of unlearn a couple of things or then also take some of the skills that I had from a theatrical background and use them in a stand-up space, but in a different way.
Yeah.
Like so that it's... Yeah, but it was something I was kind of consciously aware of. And I got into stand-up kind of 10 years, maybe even longer, 15 years into my career. I'd already I'd written over between 6 and 10 plays by that point that I'd put on and produced and done. I'd done The Most Amazing Show, where we'd done hundreds and hundreds of different shows.
Yeah.
TV show, all of that stuff. And then I was doing, I was actually doing a TV show with Kurt Skunrad.
Yeah.
And
what's it called?
Crazy Games.
Oh.
It was on SABC2, really fun, mad show that we...
He was here.
Yes, of
2
course.
weeks ago, yeah.
That we hosted together. And Kurt was said to me, he was the one who convinced me to do stand-up. He's like, you've got all the skills.
This was now a while after, because now you wanted to do it, but you never did it.
Exactly.
Yes.
I'd read, like when we first started Corné and Twakkie, I wanted to do it and I backed out. And then Corné and Twakkie happened for the next 10 years. And I just went for that, which was actually great because it gave me so much experience on stage with comedy specifically where there's no fourth wall. So it was a little bit closer to the stand-up medium, but I was still protected by a character, and I had a friend with me, and we could bounce each other off. But those 10 years of experience of audience interaction, of improvising, of like that was just, my bag of tricks was getting bigger and bigger along the way.
Yeah.
So that when Kurt convinced me, he was like, you've got the skill set, you've got the experience. It'll take you a couple of months to find your feet, but you've got to do it. And at that stage, comedy in South Africa was booming.
Yeah.
And the people were coining it off corporate comedy as well. He was like, the money you are going to make, my friend.
Come over here.
Come over here. So I was like, shit, I got to do this.
We want to go back.
Of course. Yeah. And then like 6 months later, I finally got my set right. I went through all the teething problems, figured out, kind of got rid of the actor thing, or molded the actor thing to suit me in this new thing that I was doing.
Yeah.
Of course, by then the whole corporate comedy side of the bottom had fallen out. It wasn't there anymore. But by that stage, I'd fallen in love with stand-up. Like totally.
Stand-up is a very different thing from acting.
It is. There is nothing else like it, and I think it's the most terrifying. Certainly, the most terrifying performance art. And I've done lots of different kinds of performance. There's nothing quite like stand-up. The line between success and failure is clearer than in any other. It's immediate. There's one rule. It's like immediate. Make me laugh. And every second you are not making your audience laugh, you're in breach of contract.
And they're looking at you, bruh. There's no one. This is not a character. These are your jokes.
Yeah.
This is you failing.
Yes, exactly.
This is not the character was written badly.
Yeah.
There's no excuses here.
Yeah.
You go down with a ship. That's what it is. And that's why it's so scary. Like the thing I admire about you is that you're able to sit at the desk and write a whole show. And that show comes out really good. I need time with my stuff. I'm petrified right now because I got a new show coming out. But my friend, I won't know if that show is good until when I'm standing on that stage. So that's why I do the small shows beforehand. But like it's such a hard thing. I can't.
Stand up is just also you just need to be on stage. There's no
100%. There's no running away from it.
You can even write a show and then put it on stage, but the show will only be the show after you've run that show.
Oh, a bit.
Because the show is about the communication between you and the audience. It's what's
100%.
happening in that space. And it changes, the timing changes
Completely.
when you put it in front of people.
Yes. And I always type like a show and a joke. Those shows are like I've got friends in theater, like you, I mean, like the show is as good as it's almost going to be. Like people run it through and then that is the product, right? But with stand-up, there's like a ripening effect.
Yes.
Like it's green. It's okay. It's potential. Then it ripens to a beautiful place.
Yeah.
And then you know while you're doing it that it's going rotten.
Yeah.
It's slowly rotting on the vine. And you've got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Because now that's why I never understood this thing where they go, Americans do the same show for 20 years. I go, brah, you must be so bored of the joke, you know, because it rots. And then you stop caring enough to make it sharper and sharper.
Yes.
There's a time where it starts, the blade is, and this poor audience doesn't know how good it was 5 months ago.
Yeah,
it's that.
exactly.
And then the courage to then walk away from that thing.
I mean, that's also one of my biggest challenges is because I'm doing so many different things, is to keep the stand-up going because it's something that needs...
It needs to be fed.
It needs to be fed. You can't just leave it.
It's a muscle. Yeah. Completely.
But I do love it. And I completely fell in love with it because of all the things that it isn't, like of the ways it's different to theatre, the background that I was in.
You get judgment.
The immediacy of it, the
other response.
The inclusivity of it. Like I love a back, like a dressing room on a comedy line.
Oh, what a time.
Because it's the people are so different.
Yes.
They're from so many different walks of life and cultural backgrounds and socioeconomic backgrounds. You can't look at a more diverse room of people, but there's something about them that's like everyone's the same.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's this thing.
There's a thread there.
It's the thread. It's like
a lot of misfits in a room.
Yeah.
And every misfit feels like they don't even fit in this misfit room. It's this weird thing.
Yeah.
You are one of the guys that we don't see we don't like in the comedy community. You're a comic. When people wake me up in the middle of the night and they go, identify him, I go, comedian, you know? But you have theater friends.
Yeah.
Your background, you're a serious actor, let's be honest. And then do those people judge the hell out of you for doing comedy?
I think the theatre, what's the correct word? The maybe the theatre hegemony, the kind of the
purists,
the edifice of what good proper theatre is supposed to look like. I think there is maybe less so now. I think I've been doing it for so long that people have just gone, oh, okay, you can actually do both of these things, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But for a long time, I think theatre people didn't know what to do with me.
Yeah.
But it's also because even in the theatre space, I wasn't going to every like classical play audition to try and get in that play. I was writing my own plays that broke all the rules I could possibly think of breaking.
Yeah.
Which and a lot of the theatre aficionados didn't like what I was doing or didn't understand what I was doing and then again a lot of them totally got it and were like completely championing it but I think it's just a weird. People didn't know what to do with me for a very long time. Yeah. Even the audience, like it was difficult for them to go, why is Twakkie?
Yes.
Why is Twakkie being so serious in this thing? You know.
Yes. Because now you also have, like, I see it at the festivals. I see you playing the stand-up. The room, there's a couple of confused faces. The aunties have come out for Rob van Vuuren. Hello! And then they're getting you making jokes about ayahuasca and the dragon or hijacking, which you've also been really good at. And I'm pivoting from one thing to the next now. You've been really good at being vulnerable with your reality. Like that hijacking story, making it funny. I felt that tension because it was you and your kid in a car in the middle of nowhere. And the intention of like Rob was hijacked on the way to try and do good, you know?
On the way to do good.
Yeah.
Shame.
And I
had
could
such
see
good intentions.
Yeah, and you're really good at taking that high like that and pulling the funny out of it, because it's a petrifying thing. Yeah.
Well, I think that's comedy at its core, right? It is a survival. It's a survival trait in humans to deal with the trauma of existence.
Yeah.
To deal with the terrifying reality of being alive and all the uncertainty that comes with that. I mean, I think whenever there's something really tragic that happens in our lives, there's a joke like 5 seconds.
Oh yeah,
because that's how we process it.
Yes.
So I think that to me feels like a very natural thing to do is to try and make sense of my pain or my trauma through comedy. I think one of the things that I'm also trying to get better at is just to be more consciously aware of what I'm doing. Because in the past, I think it would happen where I'd be processing trauma and it would come out on stage, but I wasn't actually consciously aware of it, like it was happening intuitively, subliminally. For instance, I spoke about depression in my set for a long time before I realized I was actually depressed. Do you know what I mean?
So you're actually living your life out there. You're like, he's the only one that doesn't know, eh?
Someone should tell him.
Yeah.
But I think, like it has pros and cons. Like I think it's great that we can use our art to process our trauma. But what I realized in that process was like, I'm bypassing it and I'm not actually...
Yeah.
So like creatively I know what's going on, but I'm not allowing myself to go, no, you are actually depressed.
Yeah.
You say it as a joke on stage, but you're depressed and you're hurting and this is why.
Yeah.
So it's a weird thing.
It can be tricky because like, do you find yourself, sometimes I see acts and I include myself in that. We talk about the pain too soon. We're not ready. There's no fun. Have you ever sat through a comedy show and go, that's not funny enough.
Yeah.
This is not funny enough yet. Yes. This guy is it's too raw.
Still processing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. You get that. You get that. Yeah.
Yeah, it is really tricky and I don't know.
Yeah. That's good enough. Listen.
It's my standard answer to everything.
I don't know. So listen, man, you're in your, like, we spoke about your stuff a lot, like all your work. But in your personal life, I always watched, because your kids on your social media, or used to be at least, quite a bit. And I go, you adopted a child. There's two things I want to mention. You are a great example of why I will never be in a roast. I saw you on a roast doing your best. Doing your absolute best not to be hurt by this fucking guy telling you this stuff. And he was a very good friend of ours. I watched that Comedy Central clip. When me and Stuart actually spoke about this a bit ago, we was like, I think Rob had a tear there. Because you, like, dude, I don't do roasts, eh? I watch them. I love it. To watch, yeah, but you will never, you must know that money is the kind of money that is going to buy this bra 2 houses for each of his kids. You know what I mean? It's different. Because I don't like to, first of all, I can't hide my feelings. I'm sad. You know what I mean? Like, and then I lash out. I'm going to say things that were not supposed to be said to a friend. You know what I mean? So that's not a good combo for I don't know how people do those things, honestly. But the reason why I say that is because you have a child. You have an adopted kid, right? Lovely child. I've never met her. I think I met her like once. But she is not of your, like what would you say? She's not a white kid.
She's not.
I wanted to be politically correct. She's not of your fuck. She's not a white child. She's not a white child, you know? So I go, how did you, and this is a question I think no one asks. Like, you adopted this child, you love the kid, but you obviously have to deal, and do you still deal with a lot of whispers and people looking around? And how have you been able to like explain this to your kid? She's 14 now, so she's an adult. She gets it.
And she's so smart, and she knows everything anyway.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, initially there was certainly people would like look at weird, like, you know, a white couple and this little brown kid.
Yeah.
Like we would get a little bit of weird looks, and it came as a surprise to me because I think, you know, as a society we've moved on and we.
Yeah.
But it's still, you know, it's certainly 14 years ago. It was a little bit more, I suppose, shocking to people for whatever reason. So we would definitely get a couple of looks and that kind of thing of like,
Wat gaan nie aan?
yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, from both ends.
From both ends, yeah.
Because there's a judgment that I find from like
people of color,
people
women
of color,
coming up to us in public, going, "What are you doing with this child?"
Really?
Yeah,
that's intense, bro.
It's a lot,
Yeah.
And I mean, we could get into all the.
Were there fights?
No, not
fights at the Panarottis. Come on, tell me.
At the Spur, there was a fight at the Spur once.
Is it?
At the festival.
Why is it always the Spur, bro? It's always the Spur. Spur people aren't made a taste of life as a taste for fighting.
She was like 2. She was like a little kid. We're in the Spur at a playground. Yeah. She had a balloon and it hit one whim.
Oh, gosh.
The balloon. Did these people not throw up the biggest fuss? You should take your child home and don't bring him out to public spaces if she can't behave. I'm like,
a balloon touched you, boss.
Your balloon touched you in the Spur.
We're fighting.
Are you?
I can't even fight, but I'm gonna figure it out.
My ex-wife went in. She went in. It was
full nut box.
It was a thing of beauty. It really was a thing of beauty.
Yeah.
But not a hell of a lot. People are people. Yeah. Some people are okay with it. Other people aren't. I'm just trying to survive and raise a child here.
Dude.
What's interesting now is that she's almost an adult and she looks like an adult.
Yes.
She's tall, nearly as tall as me, like, because you know how tall I am.
Yeah.
And she's very well developed. She looks like a woman.
Yeah.
And she's got her own sense of style. She's like dyes her hair pink and. So now when we walk around together alone, we get different kinds of looks.
Yeah. She's a bit young for you, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bro, we were at Fishhook Beach where we live. We're going for a walk hand in hand, chilling with her.
In your mind, there's a toddler next to you.
It's my baby. It's my little baby girl.
As an adult.
Then I go home and I'm doing something. She goes back to the beach and one of the police officers comes up to her and says, Who's that old man that was with you? He's like, that's my dad. He's like, really?
You sure?
He's like, no, really.
That's wild.
Weird, yeah.
Yeah, but also good for the cop. You know what I mean? Like, good for the cop.
Yeah, make sure.
Gotta check. But yeah, it's an odd thing. Like, it's already so difficult to have a kid. Like, I have kids. It's tough, man. But the beauty about an adopted kid, I always say this, is that you know how much those parents wanted you. They really wanted you. Because adoption isn't an easy thing to go through. They make sure you want this child.
Yeah.
And there's something beautiful about that.
Yeah, it's very much a conscious decision to become a parent. Whereas so often people fall pregnant.
Yeah.
You slip into it, you know.
Yeah.
And then suddenly... So yeah, there is that part of the experience, which I think is quite amazing. It's a different kind of mindset going into it. Look, it has its pros and cons. It's a complicated thing, and I think each adoption is so unique and so different. I'm just really glad that everything's okay. We're a loving, caring family. We're tight. We speak to each other. We communicate.
She seems very well adjusted. And the thing is, you just said it like it's your ex-wife, right? And you said something to me one day that I found beautiful, that you guys are... You and your ex-wife have a better relationship now, like a better friendship, right? And I find that that's such a beautiful thing because you hear those stories and then it's just horrible. I've seen horrible divorces.
I mean, I think it's almost a very natural response. People get divorced to deal with the biggest heartbreak of your life. The only way your brain can cope with that is to go, this person is an asshole.
Yeah.
And I can never deal with this asshole ever again.
Yeah.
In my life.
Yeah.
But the reality is that's just because you're trying to protect yourself from all the shit, the things you did wrong in the relationship.
Yes.
You're doing that because you don't know actually how to process the greatest kind of loss of your life.
Yeah.
There's so many reasons for that.
Yeah.
But for us, it was like, we love each other.
Yeah.
We fell in love with each other, and we've gotten to a point where we don't know how to make that work in this marriage anymore. But we still love each other. Yeah. We have a child who we love very, very much.
Yeah.
How do we
navigate?
How do we figure this out?
Yeah.
And what we realized is, okay, we had to heal our relationship.
Yeah.
Which we worked incredibly hard on. We even, beyond the point where we realized, we're not saving the marriage anymore. The marriage is done.
Yeah.
We're literally just working on this relationship.
Yeah.
Because even though the marriage is done, the relationship continues. We have a child together that we're going to be raising together.
Yeah.
And do I now just have this weird animosity with this person that I loved more than anyone else in the world because it didn't work out? Now there's this tension. Or do we go okay, let's actually figure out what happened. Yeah. And let's heal that. Yeah. So that we can do this other thing that's so important.
It's very important.
Yeah.
And that this is you're one of the few people I've spoken to where I go that's a very healthy adult thing.
Most adult thing I've ever done is is doing that.
For such a child. Because you're very childlike.
I'm a child. I'm a complete child.
Children are sometimes great to deal with the big things.
Yes, it makes you having a kid.
I mean, a childlike way. Kids often deal with these big things in a very nice way.
Yes.
No, you're still
not
my friend.
Not always in the best way. But I think that having a child when you are a child kind of helps you go, oh God, what's important here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but that was a great process for the both of us to try and figure out,
dude,
how do we be friends?
And you've done that. I mean, and now you have a girl that seamlessly moves between two parents. That doesn't happen every day. That does not happen every day. Congratulations.
Thank you, my friend.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So my thing, I think we've covered most of the stuff, but my thing is always...
Can you see how short my shorts are in this?
Yeah, I saw the very naughty shorty. I shorty is stout, pal. It looks like you're about to go and take out a duff out of a car.
I'm sorry I dressed.
I don't know why you look like that pants has got a mechanic energy to it.
Bro, I realized I'm dressed like a German techno slut. That's the vibe I'm going for here.
You look like my mechanic used to look for my first very good friend of mine, Ibi. Mm-hmm. Ibi used to have shorties that short, and then that I could fix any car. Still can. But anyway, dude, thanks for coming. Wait, before you go, what are you doing next? Is there more Namaste Bae shows coming?
I'm going to be doing more Namaste Bae shows. I've got some in Joburg, 11th of April. I'm doing a Namaste Bae show as well as
the Laugh Africa stuff.
I'm prepping for Laugh Africa because I'm doing a stand-up special there, not Namaste.
Not Namaste.
It's a stand-up thing. So I'm doing in Joburg. I'm doing a stand-up show on the 10th, and then Namaste Bae on the 11th because I haven't done Namaste.
But this isn't all new material, or is it?
No, the stand-up stuff is kind of my old material that I want to film for the Showmax Laugh Africa special. So I'm going to kind of kill off a bunch of some of my favorite old material bits. And while I'm doing these shows, I'm kind of trying to develop some new material, new characters. Cool. I want to do some poetry stuff on stage and maybe some of the other characters. We'll see.
Dude, you write a lot, eh?
I need to pee.
Go pee. I'll be right back. But you can just say goodbye because it's the end of the show.
I'm going to tell you some more things. Where's the toilet?
On the left-hand side, one of the doors. Here we go. You're back.
I'm back.
You were going to say goodbye.
We were, yeah. I also wanted to tell you what else is happening.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I've got that. I'm doing the Laugh Africa special. I'm doing Namaste Bae shows. Hopefully going back to the UK in June, July. Definitely Oz. If not later this year, early next year.
Australia.
Oz, New Zealand. Got to get to the States at some point. There's a definite following there, but we'll see. Otherwise, I have this film, Don't Let's Go to the Dogs, tonight, coming out... hopefully a global cinema release from June, July. There's another movie called The Trek that I played a very bad British man, and it's like a really cool period horror movie. which should be coming out this year sometime as well, that I'm really excited about. Myself and Lo have a rugby movie in the works that we're busy.
Funny or not?
Yeah, rugby comedy, proper rugby comedy.
You need a referee.
It's you, pal.
Me.
You're written in there. You're written in there already. That's going to be really fun. I've got a animated feature film that's kind of in production based on a play I wrote 10, 15 years ago.
When do you sleep, bruh?
I don't. I've also got lots of really cool people working on these different projects. So
yeah,
the animation thing, there's this amazing guy, Pete O'Donoghue, who has been writing the screenplay with me, and he's been pushing it forward. He's going to direct the film. He's also managed to put together really cool co-productions with a company, an animation company in Cape Town, an animation company in Mexico that's now involved. So it's like a whole really exciting.
You as international as they come. You're one of the few people that I speak to that Brian, Mexico and animation.
It's weird. It's also all these things that have kind of been in the background for years.
And they all come together.
They all suddenly feel like it's all kind of happening at the same time.
Yeah.
But that animated thing has been around for 15 years. And it's changed, different people, and there were different artists attached to it, and then it died, and now it seems to be coming up again. The rugby movie is an idea I've had for myself and Siv, actually.
Is it?
It's like our answer.
Just let that die. That relationship die, okay? Just meet each other for a burger.
It's our redemption. It's going to be our redemption, that movie.
Rugbesits.
But it's cool. It just feels like a lot of the things are kind of coming together at the right time.
Dude, I wish you nothing but the best, as you know. But my thing is that I see, like, are you more? What is your first love? What is the big thing? Is it the acting? Is it maybe stage acting? Is it writing? Because sometimes, like, I speak to guys and I go, like, this bro loves to write. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
my first love was theatre. That's what I've initially fell in love with.
Yeah.
What I've realized is that I'm not at the point where I don't want to choose one, and I don't have to.
Yeah.
Because I really like doing the different things. I think if I was doing one specific thing, I'd get really bored.
Yeah.
Frustrated. Also, like, for instance, theatre, it just doesn't pay well enough, and you work 10 times harder than anywhere else. And you get paid 10 times less, and that can really destroy your soul after a while.
Yeah.
I'm kind of happiest on a film set at the moment because it simplifies everything for me in a way that, like, my career, I've always been doing 700 different things, and if I'm doing a show, you know this, you write the show, you produce the show, you direct the show, you're sticking up the posters, you're promoting it.
Yeah.
To be on a film set where someone says, here's an umbrella, don't worry, you don't even have to hold it, I'll put it over your head.
Wow.
Here's your script, this is the lines you have to say today, you just have to go stand over there when we say so.
This is very different movies from what I'm used to. My movies is the eggs are hard there. Your budget's not quite the same. Umbrella? What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm working with Jodie Foster, bro. Come on. It's not the same.
Not the same at all. There's a trailer for you with your name on it.
No, but even the low budget films, you are way more comfortable than you are doing a flip and play. It's like that stuff you work so hard. But then the writing, I'm really loving writing at the moment. I'm writing on a comedy series with Glenn, Beedham and Pam and a couple of other people for a Showmax series. And that's been amazing. Just to be part of a writing team, loving that experience. And also, I guess the writing stuff is now generating more stuff. This full rugby idea is now developing into something else. So I hope to be doing more of that. That's my big mission at the moment, is to get all the different spokes working so that I don't have to do either one of them too much.
Yes.
Like, for a long time, I gigged too much, and I burnt myself out, and I've had to deal with the adrenal fatigue for a long time now. I'd still want to do it, but I don't want to do it as much as I was doing it. So the writing gives me a little bit of freedom to do that. The voiceover work, just juggling. I'm just fucking...
Dude, you just said a word that I didn't even think about, but it's definitely something that's come up in my life. Adrenal fatigue. It's a lot of adrenaline walking up in front of people. After a while, like, you're so...
again.
Like, you can't... you go through this period where you just can't rest it off. You know, like...
It's deep within you.
It's deep within me. And then now recently what I've done, and this also affects your family, man. I do this thing where when my boy comes out now, it's out of school, then I literally, while he's awake, while he's at home, so say from 2 until 7, because 7 is bath, bed, those things, I put my phone in the office and I lock the door. And I go, my watch has that like SIM card on it, so if my father has an emergency, he's not texting, you know? So I sort of have a feeling of, but no phone while my kids are awake has been lots of pressure.
Yeah.
Because now I'm working later, but it's helped a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, but whatever works for one, you know?
Yeah, we just got to do what we can. Adrenal fatigue. It's a real thing, bro. It's
definitely a
real thing. That like adrenaline rush you get every night. That's why so many of us end up being alcoholics or drug addicts or depressed or whatever.
Yes.
To manage that,
Yeah.
What it does to your sleep patterns, what it does to your cortisol levels, all of that stuff is
100%.
tricky.
There's another thing I almost forgot, very important thing, and I was thinking about it while you were gone. I forgot to ask you about the major part you played in Leon Schuster movies. The first one you got pranked in. Then you became a sidekick to Leon Schuster.
I played his son after that.
Yes.
Because in the first one I pranked him, and it was such a popular scene.
Yeah.
That then they contacted me.
Because he was like the producer goes, dude, stop pranking him. He looks like he's gonna have a heart attack. Yeah.
That was epic. And then, but based off the popularity of that scene, they were like, we want to do more stuff with you. Will you play his son in the next one, which I did, which was an amazing experience. Being part of that whole part of South African kind of cinematic history was interesting. There's a lot of problematic shit around that, and I went through some dark times through that, but I'm almost reticent to talk about it. I think you and I must have an actual conversation about this.
But I'm going to go out and I'll say something. You don't have to comment on this. I go, the whole cancelling Leon Schuster thing makes no sense to me. Makes sense, I get it. Totally get it. But it was a different period of time where we were all sitting laughing our asses off at that stuff, right? And then I go, my father used to say, he thinks Leon Schuster is an activist. I go, hey, how do you get there? It's fine. He went, he never cuts out when people have responded in a racist way. In fact, that's the funny bit. So like, it's easy for him to go, this bra clap this guy because he is a black guy, because he plays blackface, which has its issues, right? But he leaves that in because, in fact, that's a very embarrassing thing because that guy on the other side is smacking this guy because of the color of his skin or whatever. That was my dad's views.
I honestly believe Leon Schuster, maybe this is controversial, but I think Leon Schuster did way more for reintegration, for integration in South African society of just people on the ground getting to accept each other and get along and see each other in a way that we didn't before. He's also one of the only true crossover artists this country's ever really had.
Leon Schuster for years, that was the only thing that... Every time, like it was known fact, everyone knows this. When in the early 2000s, 90s, if there was a Leon Schuster movie at Ster-Kinnick, at New Metro, that was the number one movie. Titanic Samur. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like it was just.
And I mean, and it's exactly what your dad said is exactly. I agree completely because I think when Leon's social commentary was at its most powerful is in exactly those moments where he was exposing. White racism, hypocrisy, white fear and reaction to, like that's when it was really, really powerful. And he deliberately showed the ridiculousness of some of these responses and how racism played out in a way that was just
very real.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially the early stuff. Like you go, that bra's angry.
And I think what was the movies? Was Sweet and Short, the one where he traveled? It was on the cusp of the 94
elections.
Yes, it was just the movie was released just before then, and it was projecting
the future. It was very accurate.
So much of it was so accurate, bro.
Very accurate.
So accurate.
Hilarious.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a very complex, nuanced discussion and conversation.
A dangerous one, in fact.
Very dangerous.
Because people will rip you apart without
totally. And I
giving
had
you a
the
chance.
the blackface thing, which I apologize for. What's interesting about that whole experience for me, which is why I'm still a little bit traumatized by the whole thing, which not traumatized, just nervous about it.
Yeah.
Is because obviously people take these things in little...
They'll cut that, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I wrote my public apology for...
I didn't even know you did this.
Dude, I did... Because in the second movie, I was now playing his son. I had to play all sorts of characters. I ended up doing...
A blackface
character, which... I mean, I should have known better, and I understood the kind of... the cultural ramifications of what this... But I was also coming from that place of like, oh, but Leon's exposing the hypocrisy of white attitudes towards people of color, and very often that's when it was working at its best. But it didn't always do that. Sometimes the power dynamic wasn't quite right.
100%.
And it
wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. No.
And about that's when that apology came out, Leon had already made an apology 2 years prior to that, saying, I understand
this is problematic.
It's problematic. We're not living in the same time anymore.
Yeah.
And blackface has these connotations and a specific kind of political backdrop to it, which is why we can't really justify it.
Shouldn't do
anymore.
Should do. That's a rough one.
So he'd already made this apology, and this was like years after I'd done the movie, and then there was this whole thing coming out where people were like, oh, we've got to go cancel these movies off Showmax or whatever platform it was. And I had been sitting with this discomfort about having done blackface in this movie, having got to a point where I realized, actually, as much as I understand the context of Leon's movies in our country and where it is, I also can't justify the fact that I did that. I can understand where it fits in.
Don't give yourself the out.
Why I made that choice and all those things. But I also need, like Leon did, I need to acknowledge, hey guys, I did this thing and I acknowledge now that
it was wrong.
It was wrong. It wasn't my intention, and I certainly know now and I wouldn't do the same thing. And this might have been the reason why, but this is why I think I should say something.
Yeah.
And the response to that was fascinating, because 99% of the positive response I got were from people of color saying either this is the way apology should be made, thank you very much for the way that in which you've apologized and acknowledged these things, or two, it's not that bad, don't worry about it, Rob, you're okay. My dad thinks it's fine, you're fine. The negative, 100% of the negative response I got was from white people. Predominantly Afrikaans people who felt like I had thrown Leon Schuster under the bus. And had, that they felt like, and I can totally get from in their context, if they're not taking into the fact that Leon's apologized for this.
Yeah, they're just seeing you going.
They're just seeing me doing this in the backlash, and they're like, how dare you?
Yeah.
And that response was hectic. Death threats, bro. People wanted me dead. People were encouraging me to commit suicide because I had written an apology for doing that.
That is, this is really at the end of a podcast stumbling into something, because I did not know.
It's a dark hole.
All
and
this
to this
darkness.
day, there are people that'll come up every now and again, either in social media, where these people have latched onto me as this, I suppose, this representation of woke culture and virtue signaling and all of this stuff, and they fucking hate me, bro. They hate me beyond any kind of understanding of...
But that thing about hate also, no one understands what the hell is really happening there, because hate can be so silly and blind. You know what I mean? I've had wild situations as well where I go, I don't understand what you're trying to... I've had people be angry at me for saying, and I don't even want to say it, that's how scary it is. I said Christmas, but I said Xmas instead of Christmas. And I didn't know that people would take so much offense to it, because I've seen it in marketing and that doesn't mean, It's completely unconscious. But then I go, does it warrant you being this angry? Then I go, also, people must feel they're angry. And this is how bloody mad this cancel culture thing has become. I'm trying to be gentle about this person's experience. I'm also having an experience over here. I think it's mal that you're so angry about this because I didn't mean it.
Yeah.
And I don't even think I should be explaining myself. You talking about these, that's why it's a minefield. That's why in this podcast, I generally don't even want to speak about those things. Because I go, this is not I hate a smear campaign. I hate those things where people go and surprise you with a wild. I don't need those views. I don't need those views. Those shock viewers, those are the people that make us feel this way about these issues.
Yeah.
There can't be an open dialogue without fear.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, and it's so difficult to have dialogue these days, and people latch onto their perspective via their own agenda. It's
100%. Shame, and I saw Leon was not well. We hope that he gets well soon.
Yeah. I have nothing but respect for that man. I think he's...
You had fun working with him?
Loved working with him.
Is
Absolutely. He was... Like, he's a child, he's really a child.
Yeah.
And that energy is really infectious. And there's a particular kind of mindset that he has in terms of what he does with that pranking thing that I realized when I did the second movie with him, I was like, I'm not cut out for this. Oh. I don't have that thing that he has.
Yeah.
Which is like this...
Homie wants to get a clap.
Bro, he overrides it. It's just like, it's
a clap is coming, my friend. Yeah. I go, stop, be clapping.
You watch his videos where you see he pulls back, that survival instinct kicks in, and you can see him override the switch and go,
lean in.
Push that button a little more. It's
And you
it's
can
incredible.
See,
and I realized I can't do this. I can't do what this man does.
You can see the impact a guy has had on a culture when you say, everyone knows what I'm talking about. Or you see it on TikTok now, guys playing versions of Leon Schuster.
Yeah.
There's you see it all the time. I go like, this is a Leon Schuster way of doing things. This is inspired by Leon Schuster. Hilarious, man. I found those things funny in my day. Dude, I've never laughed as hard and deep as what I've laughed for some of those Leon Schuster things. And I feel guilty about some of it, but still.
One of my favorites was when he dressed up as a homeless person and set up a little shanty town on the Sea Point Promenade.
Dude.
It was a genius piece of social commentary and
100%
racial discrimination, deconstruction.
And him going blackface. And you just this is wild.
Yeah. And look, that cannot exist anymore, obviously. But there was a time in this country where it had this weird kind of place where it did something culturally that allowed us to see each other in a different way. And that's comedy as well, right? Comedy. It's like breaks down all that other shit, and you see people...
For you to have the good comedy you have in stand-up, in TV, on theater stages and stuff, people are going to make mistakes. And if you don't give people the room to make those mistakes and acknowledge them and move on, then you're going to have terrible art.
Yeah.
You're going to have
that's the
terrible art.
Biggest challenge we have at the moment with not even this idea of cancel culture or whatever, but even just social media.
Yeah.
Of people want every video to be... I don't know, some sort of Oscar-winning something or other. They get so irritated if the 30-second video you posted today isn't what they wanted.
Yeah.
I had posted a 12-second video. It was an outtake of a Twakkie thing that I did, which I thought, that's quite cute. That's a nice gag. I want to put it out there. Someone got so angry with me. He's like, bruh, if you're doing Twakkie, make an effort. You can't... It's just a moustache, bruh. If you're going to put on the moustache, dude, I'm like, dude. I'm playing here. This is my playground. I'm trying to play, make mistakes, and it's exactly that thing of fucking around so that you can fail a little bit, so that you can learn from it and go somewhere else or whatever. But if everyone's
so pedantic about this stuff, and I guess on the one hand you go, fuck, he's invested, wonderful, but I mean.
Yeah, it's great, but on the other hand, it's
it's too much, homie.
Not that deep, bro.
It's not that. I go for me, so many times I've done things on stages that if it was recorded that night, I would also have to make a public apology. And in the moment, I just thought it was funny. It was going to make a laugh. And then a day later, my brother or my cousin or my wife would call me out on it's either racist, misogynist, it's not fair, it's not good. And then because humans, we in the moment, adrenaline is pumping. We don't know that we are now creating this is bad and wrong. Sometimes it only hits you a week later.
Yeah,
then you
we
cringe.
Have time to reflect on it.
You cringe. You go, oh, I shouldn't do that anymore or ever do that. And thank goodness it wasn't recorded. But sometimes it is recorded. It doesn't mean I'm a bad person, And then even me saying this gets me into trouble because I watched Robert Downey Jr. talk about Tropical Thunder and because he played blackface in that and that he would never anymore and all this. But you can see that movie is hilarious. That movie would never have been made today because people aren't giving each other, and I mean, to a certain degree, rightfully so, but the room to just fail a little bit. Make mistakes, man. Great art comes from a lot of mistakes, bro.
It's the only way.
Yeah, a lot of mistakes.
It's the only way.
And growth and things. But anyway, on Leon Schuster's note, thank you for coming out, dude. Like a long.
Good luck editing this.
No, I'm going it out tomorrow somewhere again. Quick. I do everything, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah.
I respect that.
Thank you for coming. You can have a coffee and then you can go.
I love you, my bro.
Cheers, bro.
Thanks for having me.